We're going to do something a little different than usual today. Normally our videos are fairly heavily edited to save you from spending the real time with us it takes to do a project that might last hours. The focus today is going to be on how easy this job is to do, but also how important it is. Really a reminder. So you probably have in your RV a propane detector similar to this one right down here. Every RV that has propane needs to be equipped with one of those. And it's something that's kind of out of sight and out of mind. The thing about them is that they need to be replaced after a certain amount of time goes by because the sensors don't last forever. And just because you think it's working, maybe it's not beeping or giving you any sign that it's functioning or not, you may still need to replace it based on the amount of time that it's been in use. The sensor has a limited lifespan. So today we're going to show you how not to blow up in your RV, but we're going to do it in real time. So I'm actually going to go ahead and replace our propane detector today in an unbroken stream. We have 2 cameras running. We're going to try to do this without editing at all in real time and tell you what we're doing as we're doing it. Now, what we have for this job today is a new propane detector, and right on the back of it, it even says that the lifespan of it is approximately 7 years. And there are lights on it that tell you that it's time to replace it. Now, the one we have here isn't flashing that it's time to replace it yet. The reason we're going to do it anyway is for safety, because its time is up. It's older than it's supposed to be, and even though it hasn't alarmed yet to tell us to replace it, in an abundance of caution, and because a propane leak is such a serious thing, we're going to go ahead and put a new one in. And part of the reason we're going to do it is because it's not expensive to replace, and it's also not difficult. So let's see if I can go ahead and do this today straight through in a time frame that won't require us to edit this down to avoid it being extensively long. So here's the tools we're going to need to do that. Normally we do our fancy little tool shots. Today we're going to do it like this. I'm just going to show you what we have here. I've got a wire cutter, which is also a wire stripper. I have another pair of wire cutters, the diagonal pliers, because it's a little easier to get into a small space. We've got some butt connectors, a Phillips head screwdriver, and I also have a pair of scissors, which I'm going to use to cut open this plastic, you know, the type that will slice you to bits before you can get your new piece of equipment out of it, right? Also, just in case, I have some water, in case I get parched during this strenuous installation. Hopefully I won't need that. So let's go ahead and show you how this comes out of here, how simple it is, and let me stress again how important it is that you not neglect your propane detector. Of course, we'll put links down below to the propane detector that we're using today, but yours may be different. There are lots of different styles. Maybe you have one that's fit into the wall the way ours is and you want to get another similar type so it fits in the same opening. We're going to go ahead and take this one out. So let's start off by taking out the 4 Phillips head screws that hold this into the wall. Got to get it in there first. See, this is why we normally edit, so we don't have to go, there we go. Okay, there's one. And you can tell these screws aren't very long. They just go, and also I'm not left-handed, and I'm reaching around this cabinet, so hopefully I won't be completely unable to do this. There we go, and the last one's coming out. And you can see that this is really just a hole in the wall with 4 screws holding this in place. So there is our propane detector out of the wall, and you can see it's powered. And in Newmars, the ground wire is white, not black. So this is our ground, and this is our 12-volt lead right here. And this has these little wire connectors on it, and we're going to take those off and not use those. We prefer to use butt connectors. As I expected, those don't want to come off, so I'm just going to cut them off. We're going to take our little wire cutters here, and we're going to cut that off, and we're going to cut this one off and get that out of there. We're going to use butt connectors instead of the screw-on type. They're a little bit better for vibration than those. So this is now already to receive this new propane detector. Now we're gonna take our scissors, cut this open, and we're gonna work hard not to cut our hands on this really nasty plastic here. Okay, that should get that out of there. And what we'll find in here is a plate that's going to go on the wall. And I can also see that this plate, unlike the other one, it doesn't have screws in the four corners. The screws here are on the sides. So that'll mean making new holes in the wall there. That's not a problem. We're just going to be covering over the old ones where they were. So let's start by getting all the pieces out. This is really the only other piece besides the screws. So this comes with obviously a hot and ground wire. In this case, as with most things, the ground wire is black and the 12-volt hot lead is red. We're just going to put red to red and black to white in this case, since again, Newmar uses white for their ground, and comes with 4 brand new screws that we'll use those instead of the old ones. So let's just take this off of here. Now our wires are out, and I'm going to make a nice clean cut on here so that I can strip that down clean. Don't need all this wire back here. And we'll go ahead and put a nice clean cut on there. We have this very fancy wire stripper here. You don't need anything quite that fancy. One little pull, and now we have our stripped wires, and we'll just make sure those are twisted down. We'll get out our a couple of butt connectors, 2 of those, and we just need to strip the ends of these wires now, and we'll be all good to go. Same thing here. I'm gonna take off about, half to 3/4 of an inch. Oh, that's not quite enough. Let's get a little more. There we go. About half to 3/4 of an inch. Don't touch these together, of course. So now we'll put our plate on over the top, making sure that that's in position to go on the wall, like that. Let's do our powered lead first. So we're going to take these 2, and those are going to go together, and that is red to red. We're going to drop our connector on here. Let's just twist this. We want to have the right size connectors. Hopefully we have the right size here. Yep, we do. That goes in one end. We're going to twist this. Again, we've done about a half to 3/4 of an inch on the end here. And we may send our helper out for some electrical tape here. So let's see how we do. If this isn't all the way hidden inside here. And one thing you can do on this too, you'll notice that fell off of there. One thing you can do on these, if you don't want to try to get both in there at once, go ahead and crimp one side first and then the other. Just make sure that's all the way on there. And when you crimp it, make sure that you have the tool all the way down near that end, because if you go to crimp that and you crimp too close to the middle, you won't be able to get the other side in. So now we have one crimped on there. And let's go ahead, and again, we are going to do our red to red. Let's go ahead and put the red side in the other end here. Make sure that's all the way in. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put this over the top. It's one of the disadvantages to this type of crimping tool is that you got to put it over the top. And now we're going to give another quick crimp here and another quick crimp here. And now we're going to do a pull test on that and make sure that those won't come out. We give a nice tug on that. If those won't come out, you've got a good connection, but you've got to do a pull test on it. I can also see that the insulation is all the way down well inside the casing here, the insulation. So I'm not going to bother to put electrical tape on there. I know that some people prefer always to use electrical tape. I generally don't unless I have my insulation stripped back a little too far, but this is really well in there and I don't have any reason to put electrical tape on there. So now let's go ahead. Going to find our other butt connector here. We'll do the same thing here. Going to twist this down. Give a nice tug on that. Make sure that doesn't come off. Those are on there nice. And also we're going to look inside. We see that our insulation is well down inside here, nowhere near coming out. And we are not going to have to worry about any shorting there. And now, sure enough, we look and our light is blinking. This detector will flash red for 3 minutes after power has been applied. And as soon as it's finished with that 3-minute startup procedure, this light will go green and it'll be ready to detect propane. So we're going to do a very short edit here just while we sit and wait for this to go green. I don't want to screw it into the wall till I'm sure it's working properly, so I'm just going to wait until that light switches over. And there it is. So we now have a green light. This is now all set to install, working properly. All we have to do is screw it into the wall. So let's go ahead and do that. I can see we have a slightly different setup here. This has 4 screws that are on the corners of this section, but this is designed to go into a smaller hole. And obviously, they were wise enough to realize that since this is a replacement, sometimes you might have to go into a bigger opening. This larger adapter plate is what's going to make it fit properly in our wall space here. So let's go ahead, put that in. We'll coil the wire up into the wall. Again, we'll see if I can do that with my left hand. I think I'm going to need both hands for that. Okay. And up we go. And there it is. And we literally have 6 screws to install right now. So, by the way, that's the test button. I just pushed that button right there. That's why you heard that test. Hopefully nobody else is deaf but me. Okay. What do you know? These are even Phillips head screws. And we're going to go ahead and start off by installing these small ones in the middle. Okay, and that will hold this into the plate. Again, I apologize here. I'm not left-handed, but I'm going to try and do it that way anyway. All this screw here is going to do is hold that into the inner plate into the outer adapter plate. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite corner here. So now we have our inner plate and our outer plate connected together, and we are going to simply make sure this is straight up and down. We're going to make 2 brand new holes in the wall here. Yep, that would be pushing the test button again. Let's make sure this is straight. And now just no pre-drilling. One more time. Thank you. I'll try not to do that again. So you can see that this is typical RV wall board. It's not especially hard. No pre-drilling or anything like that is needed, of course. Okay, we'll screw that in. And you see this is nicely covering up those old holes. Okay, one last screw and we will be all set. Just push in a little bit, get the tip started. Just a little hard to keep it straight up and down there, especially with such a long screw. I'm sure up close on the close-up camera, this looks like I'm really not very coordinated here, but I'm reaching around this cabinet and working with my left hand, which I wouldn't normally do. Okay, and time. Actually, we weren't timing that. Anyway, that's all there is to it. We're done. Our propane detector is good for another 7 years. So if you haven't looked at your propane detector and you don't think about it, if it's out of sight, out of mind, make sure you take a look and see how old it is. If you take it out of the wall, there may be a manufacture date on the back. Look up the brand. If you don't have the original packaging, which of course you probably won't, look up the brand online. See how long it says the sensor is good for. If it says your sensor is good for 7 years like this one, and you've owned your RV for 10 and you've never changed it, you should change it. Even if the light isn't blinking to say that it should be changed, don't take a chance with propane. It's too dangerous. If it accumulates, you could have an explosion. The last thing you want to do is be a light at the end of the road when your RV goes up like a bomb. So this is a very easy, quick thing. I don't know exactly how long it took us to do this, but I would guess if you're not filming it and you're not working with your left hand to try to sit out of the way of the camera, you could probably do it pretty easily in 10 minutes. Not that expensive. Links below. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, check us out on Patreon. Special thanks to all the people who've supported us and helped make these videos possible. We appreciate your being with us. So thanks so much. I hope this, if not giving you an idea how to do this, just reinforced how easy it is and how important it is. Thanks so much for joining us. And as always, safe travels and thanks for watching. Rip the ends of these wires now and we'll be all good to go. Same thing here. Take off about, half to 3/4 of an inch. That's not quite enough. Let's get a little more. There we go.